Welcome back, everyone. So this is another continuation on the Foundations video. This one here is going to be on peace, love, and truth. And I'm just going to start off by saying that we all know intuitively that being in a state of love, peace, and living in truth, that it'll lead us to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. But yet there's something that holds us back, and we struggle to remain peaceful, loving, and in a state of truth. There's a couple of reasons because of that, and I'll get into that a little bit later on. There's many things that happen in our lives that have influenced us on why we are struggling so much to remain in a state of love, peace, and truth. There's, first of all, as I said, the wounds that we have had in our lives. These things are very much at the forefront of why we struggle to remain in these states. There's also another big part of this is that when we were in the presence of what we believed that people should love us, was when we were very young with our parents, and many of us have had very mixed very much mixed signals when it comes to how our parents showed us love. And I'll just give you an example that many have experienced is that many of us have been told by our parents that they loved us, but then there's also instances where our parents were not so loving. And an example of this would be, let's say that your parents really showed that they appreciated you and they loved you, and then let's say a couple of hours after, they would say that, oh, well, no, you're not able to do that, or no, you're not that good of a child, or they would scorn us if we would do something bad. And that created some mixed signals as far as what love is supposed to be. And then as a child, we were confused. We knew intuitively that our parents should love us, but then here they are, in one sense, telling us that they loved us, and then not far after, they would tell us that, we're worthless, or something along that line. And that created a lot of problems, and as a child we try to comprehend this as best as we could, but as a child, with limited experience, and we were very, let's say, confused on what was going on. And what happens often is that we continue this way of expressing love, where we would, let's say, we would be in a relationship, and then we would say to our partners, I love you very much, and then not long afterwards we would say that we hated them. And that has to do with how we were shown love when we were young. And again, you can see how this would be very, very confusing, and it would also prevent us from living that meaningful and fulfilling life, and be connected spiritually to these things. So in the same sense, when we hear things in the news or in society in general that peace is achieved through war, this is another example of how we became confused, right? We believe that in order to get peace we need to go through war. And until that we start to examine these things, we will remain confused on what love is and what peace is, because we were shown contradictory examples when we were young, and this created some very deep confusion within us. So and the same applies with truth, right? We were led to believe that educators news media, they were truthful. And then if later down the road we come to realize that they lied to us, then we become again confused over what is truth, right? We say, oh, a little lie here and there is justified, or nobody can always be truthful, right? And these things all show us that many people in life are very confused, and they're not really at the essence of what truth, love, and peace is. And that's why it's so important to sit and meditate and examine these things. Real love, it is, as we've heard many times, is unconditional, and also, in my opinion, is unyielding, which means that it never stops. The same with peace, right? The same with truth. And every time that we're not in these states, in the real sense, we're very peaceful, we're very loving, and we're very truthful, then it disconnects us from the spiritual side. And obviously this creates a whole bunch of problems, not only in our own lives, in the lives of other people that we profess to love and care about. Somebody that cares about us should not lie, right? They should not abuse us, obviously. But, we've had many instances that we've experienced in our lives that we hear, people that were couples or parents that disowned a child, or a couple that basically one of the partners cheated. And, we see how this is very much a big problem as far as for us to really connect spiritually, because these created wounds, and then we perpetuate these wounds, right? The same as what we hear from generational trauma. And there is somebody that eventually needs to break this generational trauma in order to get to really the truth, and then an authentic life. And speaking of authentic, I'll give a little example of what I feel that truth is. Truth is authentic. It is genuine. It will not try to mask things with a little white lie. That doesn't mean we should be rude when somebody asks us how they look in a dress, right? But we should always be as truthful, honest as we can if we want to be in a state of truth, right? If not, then we're diluting the real essence of what it is to be in a state of truth. And I'm hoping that you can see how this really impacts us as far as being able to live a very deep, meaningful life, because we're disconnected. We're disconnected from these things. And no wonder that life is such a mess. No wonder that we are such a mess, because we haven't got to the core of things. Now, again, I can't stress enough how important it is to be in these states, right? Because at the end, we need to make sure that we comprehend what love, truth, and peace is. But it is not enough to just simply know the definition of it and then just carry on with our lives. We have to become truth. We have to become peace. We have to become love. We have to become all these things. And when we become these things, life becomes much more meaningful, right? Because we are aligned with what is true, what is love, what is real peace, right? In a sense, we have to absorb this into our very being. And when we do, then we really move a little bit deeper with the whole spiritual aspect of life. We're no longer in the ego world anymore, where it's like deceiving, right? We're very connected, we're very truthful, we're very authentic, right? And these things are very important as far as growing spiritually and being real. In order to be always as close as we can to truth and love and peace, we have to also monitor ourselves. We have to become aware that when we slip, when we tell a little white lie, when we're not so loving, when we're not in a state of peace. And that is very important, because it helps us to see when we're not aligned. And also when we catch ourselves that we're not aligned, there's things that are going to become known that, oh, I am not truthful, because you'll get something that happened in your life, and then you see that whatever happened in your life impacted you, and that plays a big role in why we're not truthful or why we're not at peace. And that's how I see a lot of the spiritual things, is that we have to become very aware of what's going on in our minds and how we express ourselves and how we live. To me, these things are so important to because like it connects us to ourselves. It deepens our understanding of us, and the outside world no longer, in a sense, matters. What matters is what's going on inside of you, and that kind of like builds upon itself, because as we become more aware, then we can catch ourselves more, and then we can notice things much more. So hopefully that you guys appreciated this video, and you understand what I'm trying to get at here, that the awareness, the observation of yourself is very essential as far as being connected spiritually. And there's going to be more on this, because for me this is like very, very important to be very aware of what's going on in your own mind, in your own heart. And I'm hoping that many of you will see what I mean, because it's not just words anymore. It's not just a definition anymore. It is you. It is your living truth, your living peace, right? Your living love. And that at the end is so important to be these things in order to live that meaningful, fulfilling life that we all desire. So if anybody has any questions, comments, please feel free to comment down below. And as I said, there's probably only going to be one more video on the foundations, and I'll see you next time.